Ms. Amandeep Randhawa is founder director Beyond Basics Learning. Over the last 25 years, she has developed into an experienced coach, organizational behavior facilitator, and an entrepreneur. She has worked extensively in the areas of change management, developing functional mindsets, conflict resolutions, negotiating skills, self-awareness, personal effectiveness, and being people's managers. She has ventured into 2 startups in training and education. She has trained more than 10,000 people across nations and domains to include key clients like Vistara, Netflix, PepsiCo, Nike, Adidas Birla Group, Aditya Birla Group, Adidas, Danfoss, Rockwell, Automation, Brandix Group, Sri Lanka, MUST Group, Middle East, the Smart Cube, Moglitz, Gap, etc., to name a few. She is a certified brain-based coach for Neuro Leadership Institute and holds a postgraduate diploma from RMIT Australia in textile technology and international marketing, apart from being a commerce graduate from Punjab University. I invite you, Ms. Randhawa, to give your presentation.
Thank you. All right. So let's see how focused are you right now. Can you do what I do and say what I say?
Yes.
Can you do what I do and say what I say?
Yes. Yes.
So do what I do and say what I say. Do what I do and say what I say.
Say what I say.
Clap. All right, let's give it another try. Do what I do and say what I say. Clap. 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 Snap. Snap. Clap. Clap. Clap.
Good one.
I think we have everyone's attention here. So thank you for a very generous introduction. So this for me is my comfort zone. I was born into the industry professionally, as I like to call it, way back in 96, 97. And I specialized in my previous work life, as I have to call it now, in high performance wear and lingerie. So I'm from a high performance wear, microfibers, and lingerie production background. So I'm from a production background. I have worked for 15 years. In the first 25 years of my workspace, I think the first 15 have been spent in the industry, based out of Sri Lanka, mostly in Hong Kong. A lot of time was spent with the advanced innovation team in Nike in Oregon, and a lot of time with Marks and Spencers. And those are the days when M&S used to be a brilliant brand. It still is for some of the products. We are also a generation that brought in the bonding technology to you. So we were the pioneers, a team of us were pioneers in taking a shoe technology called the bonding, ultrasonic welding, no-sew technology, and we converted it into a wearable product. And my work as a head of that project was to take that product to the market. It took us a budget of $500,000 and 6 months to take out one prototype. So what you see nowadays in your bonded products, both in innerwear, performance wear mostly, is the product of the work that we did way back in 2001, 2002. So that's a little bit of my background. Then some out of choice and some out of a few personal decisions, I got into a people development space almost about 11, 12 years ago. And this also again happened accidentally. So I'm an accidental facilitator, as I like to call myself. I was sitting, I have a 17-year-old and he was about a couple of years old then, and a colleague of mine called me from the US and said, so Amandeep, what are you doing? I said, well, nothing really, because this country holds, this country couldn't employ me technically, and I'm talking about 2006, 2007. We didn't have a technology base for my kind of an expertise. So he said, okay, well, we can get you to train people, and you can start training people in the production and pre-production processes. And that was my first brush with training years ago. And it's been a tremendous journey, and I've been around different domains, but this is my favorite domain. I keep on coming back to, because this is where I feel that a lot of impact and a lot of growth and a lot of potential still lies. When Prashant and his team and Colonel Kapoor approached me last year, the journey with OGTC started last year. I gave a talk on sustainability from the people standpoint, and this year I was asked to talk about incentives, and I said, lovely. There's a lot of best practices that I can share with you on this platform. At the same time, maybe I can get a few thoughts running. Maybe I can plant some transformational seeds into the brains today. And transformation is what is really needed. I was having a conversation over lunch with someone, and I said, we are sitting on a gold mine as a country. I have worked in at least 13 countries, and I have worked in the production. So I've worked with people at the grassroots level, and I still believe, and it's out of choice I'm back in this country, I still believe as people we're sitting on a gold mine. There's no one like us in the world in innovation, resilience, in kind of, process mapping, critical path mapping and all that. Yet we are lagging behind so far as production efficiencies is concerned, so far as our ability to retain our talent is concerned. And one of the main reasons for that is that we are not treating our biggest resource as a resource. And our biggest resource is people. So I'm going to talk about how can we build people centricity, and one of the tools that we're going to use for that is incentives. So, some key points. I thought we'll quickly revisit what we spoke about last year. No-brainer. Why do we need to retain people? Because hiring is expensive. More expensive is the cost of onboarding people. And I'll bring a mind-boggling calculation for you in a little while. The cost of onboarding people. Right? And there is a lot of skilled and experienced people out there who need to be embraced into our industry. One of the main points I spoke about last year is, are we as an industry able to attract the best talent in the country? And the answer is no. Unless you're from a NIFT and one of those textiles and garment institutes, a generalist, a very good generalist, does not want to join the industry. And that still speaks volume for us. What is the reason behind it? I go to countries, so I'll talk about Sri Lanka, I've worked there. The best of the best people who have studied in the best global universities would come back to the country and would join a Brandex or a MAS. I'm both ex-Brandex and ex-MAS. I've worked for both. And you'll see the best talent in the country working there. And I'm talking about 25 years ago, So the reason why we need to really retain people is, some of this is right here in front of you. And I spoke about this, and I'll quickly revisit it. I think we are focused on the wrong matrix. We are too focused on cost of hiring, and we are too focused on cost of employee welfare. A dear friend of mine who's setting up a very big project, and he's not an Indian, and at a very senior level in the South, and said, it's ridiculous, Aman. I've got a budget that runs into millions of dollars, and the moment I ask for one extra cup of tea, the whole hell breaks loose. So you know what? We are accountants, not business people sitting there. We are actually focused on the wrong metrics. We are saying, okay, you know what? What is the cost of employee welfare? Whereas we need to be seeing hiring and retaining people as an investment. Are we as a cohort ready to invest in people? Is my first question to all of you. Right? And so we're talking about many other things. We're talking about efficiency, we're talking about productivity, we're talking about quality. Brilliant, that's the nature of the industry. We do need to meet the AQLs, we do need to meet a certain standard efficiency. There is, production process in place for that. All that is given. We're so focused on that we are not really focused on who's driving these processes, who's driving this efficiency, who's driving this quality. And we talk a lot about AI and tech and everything, and all that is brilliant. And one day, maybe there is going to be a machine that's going to be checking your quality and is going to tell you this is shippable or not. But we are decades away from that. For now, it's a human looking at a product made by a human and deciding whether it's good enough to be shipped or not. So key factors to retaining people. Two things. I did not want to complicate it. I said let's just talk about two things. Are we offering a growth plan to an employee when he joins us? How many of you have been offered a growth plan? How many of you have built your own growth plan and said, you know what, this is what my growth plan is. In 4 years time, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to achieve, this is where I want to be, and this is the certification I want to do. Can you show me through raising your hands how many of you have that? Brilliant. 1 out of 250 people. Just a quick data, right? And the second part too is incentive models. So I'm going to be focused on incentive models because I've been given 30 minutes and I need to stick within that 30 minutes. And let's see what we can achieve through talking about these incentive models. Quick question to everyone. I understood if I talk numbers, I'll be more receptive. You'll be more receptive to what I have to say. So can we quickly do a calculation and see what is the cost of onboarding a new operator? Let's talk about a machine operator. So it's a formula that we have to use. We have to take into consideration the entire cost. So let's calculate number one on top, the cost of efficiency drop. If your factory is working at 60% efficiency, the moment one person changes, there's an efficiency drop. Take a hypothetical figure, take out your notebooks and start doing calculation. What is the cost of that efficiency drop? Second is, you're going to give them fabric and material, although we say waste. है ना, इनको waste material दे दो, waste trims दे दो. Are those waste fabric and materials free? Has no one paid for that? So there's a cost involved there. There is a cost of transport, other perks, meals, housing them, their salaries. It starts from day one. The day one they join you, their salary, the clock is ticking. There's a cost of the person who's training them. You'll obviously get a very good operator or supervisor to train, right? So the opportunity cost of using that person in actual line versus getting him to train new operators, that's a very high cost as well. And again, this friend of mine, I can't name him or the organization that he's working for because of the confidentiality that is involved. And just 10 days ago, I was talking to him. And he called me and we worked, we've known each other for 25 years. And he called me and he said, you know what? I've arrived at a mind-boggling data calculation, Aman. And he said, Aman, you won't believe what I've just arrived at. And I said, what is it? He said, we were doing an internal calculation on how much does it cost to onboard one employee, 2 months cost of onboarding one employee. He said, I'm sitting at a figure of 82,000. I said, you must be kidding. Not possible. He said, yeah. He said, there are 11,000 a month employees. And when I take into consideration all the factors, and he's a production guru. So the number coming from him was shocking. I said, you must be kidding. How's that possible? Cost of onboarding one person, 80,000 rupees, 82,000 rupees. He said, yes. And here's the calculation. So all of you who are sitting here, I would really invite you to do a calculation on what does it cost to onboard one person. Maybe theirs is highly innovation, kind of a tech factory they are making there. It's a piece of art, it's a state of art, setup that he's setting up there. Even if you take into account a normal factory, I can tell you if it's not 82,000, it will touch about 50,000 over 2 months. Now that versus cost of retaining one person. Now let's stick to this figure. Let's take, so 82,000 was too much. I couldn't handle it. So I said, okay, let's talk about 50,000. Let's hypothetically say that the cost of onboarding one new operator is 50,000 over 2 months. Can we spend 50% of that cost on incentives so that the old people do not leave? So that we are able to retain people who have been with us for some time. Can we do that? Can we at least spend 25,000 of that cost, distribute it over maybe 20 people, 25 people? Another interesting data. You walk to a shop floor and you ask any employee, any operator, incentive किस form में चाहिए? What do you think the answer is? Cash. He doesn't care about a bag or a shoe or a phone or a hat or a certificate or a trophy. Brilliant. ठीक है, trophy के साथ पैसे रख देते तो बहुत बढ़िया था. Put an envelope in the bag or whatever. Right? Every operator, every person, not just operator, you go and ask your mid managers this. They'll say, sir, बैंक में आएगा तो बढ़िया है. मुझे नहीं चाहिए ट्रिप टू स्विट्जरलैंड, फ्री टिकट टू समवेयर. आप मेरे को ना कैश दे दो क्योंकि उसकी यूटिलिटीज आ. So now we are saying we are saving cash. We're saving cash, right? Can we give cash? And how do we give cash? And all the incentive plans, 2 models I'm going to share with you, is going to talk about can we start sharing our profit? Because that's the way to go. Every factory in the world which is constantly running at 65% efficiency, 65 to 80% efficiency, if there are factories like that, are running at that efficiency uniformly because people are not leaving them. I left MAS in 2006. It's been how many years? 18 years? Right? And when I joined them, there were people as old as 10 years old. They were still already in the organization since 1996. Today I go back to the organization. There are 170,000 people working in that organization, and 60% of those people are the people who joined them at the time of founding of the company. So वो कोई magic करते हैं? They have one of the best efficiencies. They have one of the best quality standards. They are the benchmark standards which the buyers will give you, that if you want to see a role model factory, go and see the factory in Mexico, in Jordan, in Vietnam, or wherever. A MAS person would walk in and you would know he's from MAS. So what is it? How do they retain them? One of the biggest things that they have done in retaining them is to make sure that they share profit. So, first case study. Again, for reasons I cannot mention the name of the factory here, but the factory here is, I cannot write it, but I can mention it. It's ICAHT. ICAHT is the leading factory of Speedo in Sri Lanka. It's a MAS group factory. So this is one case study that I picked up from there. And the case study is very simple. Efficiency-based incentives. First thing we need to do is we need to define an efficiency ladder. So when a new style is put on the line, can we define an efficiency ladder? let's say 50% efficiency for the first 4-5 days, 1 week, 60%, 65%, and so on, till you arrive at a budgeted efficiency, right? Once you arrive at the budgeted efficiency, every operator that was exceeding the budgeted efficiency was rewarded for it. Every operator. So if the budgeted efficiency is 65% and one operator today has hit 68%, that 3% is clean profit to the organization. And the organization said, you know what, let's go split on it. You keep half, I will keep half. Because my entire costing has been done on 65% efficiency. You have hit 68. I want to give 50% of that clean profit to you. Was it easy for the stakeholders to agree to it? Yes and no. They said, okay, chalo, let's do a pilot run. So they did a pilot run. And of course, the scientific formula was used. And they said, okay, you exceed it by 3%, 4%, 5%, you take 50% home. And that will be added to your salary. So the entire production floor became performance oriented. This girl will start screaming immediately there was a delay in fabrics or trims. This girl will give an immense pushback the moment there was a machine breakdown. There used to be mayhem on the production floor. And you know who's creating mayhem? Who's screaming? The machine operators. That you are affecting my efficiency. Because of you today, I will not be able to earn my incentive. And the moment the pushback started, everyone woke up. Everyone woke up. The engineers, the fabrics, the cutting, everyone was, the mechanics, everyone. 70,000 stakeholders. We all felt like shareholders because we knew a part of the profits was going to land in our account. Yet the company made huge profits. So there was no, and hence talent was retained. So that is one model. But before we arrive at it, I think a bigger mindset that we need to work on is that our human resource or the people working in our organization are not transactional. So we have a very transactional approach towards people. Matlab jahan hamare numbers should have been our strength as a country. Numbers should have been a strength, right? It's not a strength. We have used it not so wisely. We have used it to say, ठीक है यार, एक नौकरी के लिए 10 लोग और बैठे हैं. You want to go, you go. I'll get 10 more. I've used it wrongly. I have not used my numbers well, the strength of number of people well. And that mindset has passed down to maybe now the third or the fourth generation. And I was talking to Arth a little while ago during lunch. And I told him, I said, this is a legacy, this mindset, our generation, I'm close to 50, our generation has passed on to the next work generation as a legacy. कि लोग तो आते जाते रहेंगे, तुम अपना काम करो. Efficiency नहीं रुकनी चाहिए, production नहीं रुकनी चाहिए, quality नहीं जाना चाहिए, इसको नहीं जाना चाहते तो इसको जाने दो. How? And we need to stop this mindset right now, right here, so it doesn't get passed on to the kids in their 20s and 30s and mid 30s who are now coming into the industry. This is not right. It is not right to treat people transactionally. We have to consciously start working on treating people as assets. If today I have hired 10 people, it should be my personal goal as a production manager, as a merchandising manager, as a head of a team, as a head of an organization to retain at least 8 of them for the next 5 years. And a lot of work needs to be done for that. And what will give it impetus is something like this. The whole body language in the way you talk to people in your organizations, in the way you onboard them, interview them, assess them will change. The moment you start treating them and making them think yourself कि ये शेयर होल्डर है मेरे पास, इसको मेरे को 500 रुपए दिन का एक्स्ट्रा या 100 रुपए दिन का एक्स्ट्रा कमा के देना है. The entire way in which you interact with people is going to change. Second, very interesting one. So Bhadra was that's not Bhadra, it's just a picture I've taken. But Bhadra was my first supervisor when I started working in the industry in 1997. Because I'm a textile technologist, I was given the fabrics department first. And I was called by Mr. Ashraf, who's the head of Bandix, and he called me. It used to be a small organization then. And he said, we are experimenting something with the fabrics. Would you like to head the first fabric department in the group? And I said yes. I was only 22 years old. I was given a section in the fabric warehouse. In between the warehouse and the cutting section, I was given a space. I was given 6 girls and I was given one supervisor called Bhadra. Right? And they said, okay, now swing. Go ahead, see what you can make out of it. So I interacted with Bhadra, extremely kind, very nice to talk to, blah, blah, blah. But zero on motivation. Why? No one wants to work in fabric division. Who wants to work in fabric division? Incentives ही नहीं है. I don't get any incentive. Production people, quality people, cutting people, everyone has incentives. हमारा है ही नहीं. Neither do I have, nor the other 6 girls I have. So as a very young manager, I understood that I need to create a few carrots for them. We do it. And you know why there was so much of investment? I was an expensive resource. And why was there so much of an investment in fabrics? What is when you do like the cost bifurcation of a product? Fabrics is 65% of the cost of a product. So if you can manage that 65% well, you manage a lot of things down the line. So I'll talk about all the processes and things that we brought into board. And I said, okay, let's crack that. So we came up with 3 kinds of incentive models. Yeah, quickly. 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
Are it good enough? So 3 kinds of incentive models is what we came up with. Number 1 was attendance based. I said, okay, I told Bhadra, and I said, first thing, can you make sure everyone comes on time? Yes. So we worked on a matrix, and he said, okay, this many points. And I said, another thing I want you to do is, what does a person need? A person needs a little bit of a decision-making, ability and a little bit of a room to play around. I said, Bhadra, from now on, this is the module and you're going to manage it. You are going to decide who takes leave, when, who stays back for overtime. It's your decision. So the team managed the module on their own. And this is what we came up with. 5% of the basic for coming on time. 5% of the basic for no absenteeism. I was managing only 7 people, mind you. And I walked up to my CEO, and he was a very supportive, very person with a lot of foresight. Jeremy, his name was. And I said, Jeremy, this is what I want to do. And he said, please go ahead and do it. How much is the cost? I said, only 5% of their basic. He said, go ahead. Second thing we did was quality based. I walked up to the to the cutting manager, and I said, can we share a part of your efficiency? And he said, how? I said, I want my girls to really earn something. I said, every fabric that has high number of defects, fabric defects. And if I'm going to go ahead and give you a cutting instruction, I'm going to say, okay, high defects, fails fabric inspection, but you can salvage fabric if you do panel inspection. Can we start paying our girls, fabric girls, for inspecting the panels? And panel inspection was something which was very rarely done. And we did an entire case study, and we realized if you do fabric inspection really well, and then if you do panel inspection, the finished product quality rejection due to fabric defects, due to shading, due to XYZ reasons was minimal. So we made like a whole case study, and we said, if 1 out of 10 garments rejected at the end of the production line is because of fabric defects, I'm going to make it 0. And I put the girls on it. We did not let any defective panel get into production. And they got paid for it. And anywhere where the supplier would pay us, another model that I started giving a pushback to the mill. I started saying, you want me to utilize a rejected fabric? I will use it. You will pay for 100% fabric inspection. The supplier, right? The vendor. Am I audible? The vendor. So whatever monies came from them, we passed it on to our girls. We didn't keep it. So the first bill that I raised to a mill, to a textile factory for sending me defective fabric and for us to use it was of about $8,000. I remember there was a huge celebration. They said, you're supposed to be a revenue point. You're supposed to be a cost point. You've turned it into a revenue point. I said, watch. But this 8,000 we are not keeping. We are passing it on. Worked beautifully. Right? And the biggest benefit. As I said, fabric related quality issues were minimal at the end of the line. Rework due to fabric was minimal. At that time we used to do a lot of washed garments, cotton canvas washed, nightmare. Colors khaki and olive green. Nightmare. We took this system to the washing plant. We said we are going to batch the fabric after washing. And of course, M&S, Marks and Spencer's was a big fan of ours by then. But what did we do? Whatever is the extra that we earned was passed on to the girls. Bhadra is still there. She's the cutting manager. How many years? I'm saying 97, 98. So 26, 27 years. And these are the organizations that are retaining talent. Simply by making sure that any improvement in efficiency, any extra monies that the organizations are earning is shared. I'm not saying given completely to them, is shared to them, is shared with them. Third, and I was having a discussion with Prashant on this last week. I said, how often do we focus on mapping the critical path of a product in the factory? Is the critical path mapped? And who does it? From my observation or whatever work I've done, even in factories in Oman and Bahrain and Jordan where I worked, and some factories in India where I worked, I've realized that pre-production team is the weakest. The best resources are given on production and on quality and on shipping. मतलब वो shipping on quality वाले के हाथ में magic wand है, वो कुछ ठीक करके ship कर देंगे भाई. So best people are placed there. But who is doing the reverse engineering? Now this is very interesting. I want to finish this before I go. I said, well, who are the people who should actually be given the maximum amount of focus? The pre-production team. The team which is unpacking the style as it comes in. That is the team which is going to make sure, okay, what problem fabric coming our way. This is how it's going to behave on the machine. That is where I need my best pattern master to give me the best yield, so that I have the best efficiencies at cutting. Yield efficiencies are the best. That is the point where I need that person. That is the point where I need my best industrial engineering person. We're talking about reverse engineering. We're talking about picking up a product and unraveling it and doing a reverse engineering on it, so that we know what are the problem areas. And that is also the point where the process is mapped to an extent where I say, okay, you know what? I can tweak this in the production. Outwardly, the customer wouldn't know. But we would have reduced one step in production by doing this process differently. Innovation. I'm talking about the best people with innovative solutions who have a lot of experience in garments being at the pre-production stage. So they have studied, they have understood, they have done a reverse engineering, they have created a critical path for the product. They have invited the production team, they have taken their inputs, and then they say, okay, you know what? A lot of work done on this now. Now it's cooked. The recipe is ready. All you need to do is take it and run with it. And these people deserve incentive as well. And that is where the third part of incentive needs to come. First level is, of course, you need to have a very good pre-production team. My hardwiring in the industry is like that. I walk into any factory, I'll straight away go into the production merchandiser, and I'll ask him, style file nikalo. Do you know what style is running on the production floor? Do you know how many pieces are out? Where is the style file? And guess what? 90 out of 100 times, either the style file is not there, not in the section, not with the merchandiser, not traceable, or not complete. And I tell them you're sitting on a time bomb. That is why the factory is in chaos. That is why everyone is running around कि अच्छे pieces बने ही नहीं. End में देखेंगे क्या होगा. और जो merchandiser है उसको ये भी नहीं पता कि end कब है. Right? So, pre-production is the next focus, and maybe next year, one of the conversations maybe I'd like to have is on pre-production team. It's very close to my heart. I was a very big part of it. I think we did extremely high level of factory integration processes and pre-production processes. And we used to handle 250 styles. And one style had 32 components at one time. One business head would handle 250 styles. One style, I'm not even talking about colors. 7 to 10 colors in each style. One style, 32 components. Seamless production. Seamless production, no production. So production had to just run with it. Right? And I'm saying, give them incentive as well. Give them incentive for being innovative. Give them incentive for, improved efficiencies in, consumption. Improved production efficiencies. Give them incentive for that. And I want to leave you with this. You have to win their hearts. You're not people working with machines, you're people working with people. If I ask all the leaders here who are leading and who have people reporting into them, if I ask you one question, do your people like you?
Yes.
I'm very happy if the answer is yes. Because at the end of the day, whatever my professional exterior is, I am an emotional being. Right? I am looking for being engaged. I want to feel important. I want to feel seen. I want to be visible. I do not want to be an invisible piece of furniture. I want to be connected with. I want you to build with me. I want to build with you. All that is there. I want you to enable me. Enable me. Do not take my mistakes out. Tell me how it's done. Enable me, empower me, stand with me. And you know what? I am going to stand with you for the next 30 years. Right? Because that is what we need to work towards. Make them matter. Make your people matter. Incentive is just one part of it. And if I have to take like a 50,000 feet view of it, the 50,000 view of it, what is the bigger picture? Last year we were talking about sustainability. I want to round it off here. Right? Incentives, loyalty, retention, better quality, lesser rejection, lesser rejections, lesser landfills. Simple as that. The certain brands which are very strict about it, any product which is rejected has to be destroyed, right? How environment friendly is that? How sustainable is that? And would you ever link that to incentive? I've just linked it for you. So keep your people close to you, stay close to your people, start treating them like asset, start treating them like they matter, and do everything that it takes to retain them. Remember, the cost of onboarding one operator is 50,000 rupees. All right? Thank you very much, and thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Ms. Randhawa, for a very thought-provoking, I would say, this presentation. And I think it's a very apt time post-lunch, keeping us all awake with the energy with which you spoke. Thank you so much. And you have highlighted the importance of building human resource and their attention. Then providing incentives to efficient employees would surely bring about stability, uniform quality, and profitability for all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
I would now invite Mr. Vinod Kapoor, MD Radnik Exports, to kindly come on stage and present memento to Ms. Amandeep Randhawa.
Yes, please. Thank you.